Aliens abandoned a broken starship, reaches its breathtaking climax, as Elena's Ghost Armada strikes the heart of the Scar Empire. In orbit, above Vorak Prime, the retrofitted vessels, once deemed worthless by their creators, rain destruction upon the homeworld, while a suicide team sacrifices everything to shatter the planetary shield. Forever proving humanity's greatest strength lies in transforming others' failures into triumph. The derelict floated against the void like a dead leviathan, its scarred hull plates catching starlight in dull flashes. Captain Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of the Aurora's edge, her salvage vessel's sensors picking apart the massive structure drifting before them. "What do you think, Milo?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the wreckage. "Ever seen anything like it?" Chief Engineer Milo Zhang floated beside her, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of his handheld scanner. "Not even close. Definitely Scar Empire design, but bigger than anything in our databases. A dreadnought class, at minimum." Elena narrowed her eyes. Scar Empire vessels were prized finds. Their technology was decades beyond human capabilities. But a dreadnought? Those were the stuff of legend, the apex predators of the Scar war machine. Finding one abandoned was like stumbling upon a sleeping dragon. "Power readings?" she asked. "Minimal," Milo replied, "but definitely present. Something's still alive in there, Captain." Behind them, Sergeant Amina Jail cleared her throat. The security lid had been quietly listening, her hand never far from the pulse pistol at her hip. "Protocol says we report this to Fleet Command and maintain distance until a military detachment arrives." Elena turned to face her crew. 12 faces looked back, a ragtag assembly of engineers, salvagers, and security personnel. They'd been together for years, working the fringes of human space, scraping together enough salvage to keep flying. Fleet Command would swoop in, claim the prize, and throw them a pittance as a finder's fee. "And how long would that take?" Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. 3 weeks minimum," Amina replied, crossing her arms. "We're beyond the normal patrol routes." 3 weeks during which any other salvage crew could happen upon our find?" Elena countered. "Or worse, Scar patrols could return for their property." Milo ran a hand through his graying hair. "Captain, I'm all for pushing boundaries, but this is Scar tech we're talking about. Their systems are notorious for containing booby traps, fail deadly protocols, which is precisely why we have the best engineer in the sector." Elena interrupted with a tight smile. "Look, I understand the risks, but that wreck represents more than just salvage rights. That's a technological leap that could put humanity decades ahead." The crew exchanged glances, their faces a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "We'll take precautions," Elena continued. "Full radiation sweeps, remote probes first, hazard protocols. But I'm not leaving that ship for someone else to claim." After a long moment, Amina nodded. "Your call, Captain. But I want it on record that we're proceeding against standard salvage protocols." "Noted," Elena replied, turning back to the viewport. "Prepare the tow cables. We're bringing her home." Little did they know, that decision would forever alter the balance of power in the galaxy. 6 weeks later, the derelict Scar dreadnought hung suspended in Earth's largest orbital scrapyard, surrounded by a web of scaffolding and work platforms. The Aurora's edge looked tiny beside it, like a remora attached to a whale. Elena floated through a freshly cut access corridor, her environment suit's lights cutting through the darkness. The interior of the vessel was a maze of alien geometry, angular corridors that seemed to defy conventional spatial logic, materials that absorbed rather than reflected light. "How's progress on the command deck?" she asked into her comm. Milo's voice crackled back. "Slow. Their control interfaces are unusual, not designed for human physiology. But we're adapting." Elena pushed herself forward, navigating through a chamber filled with what appeared to be coolant pipes. The scale of everything was wrong. The Scar species stood nearly 9 feet tall, with 3 upper limbs and a lower body structure that human xenobiologists still debated. Their ships reflected their alien nature. "Captain," Amina's voice cut in, "you need to see this. Central processing chamber, deck 4. 20 minutes later, Elena floated into a spherical room filled with gently pulsing crystalline structures. Milo and Amina hovered near what appeared to be a central column, their faces illuminated by an eerie purple glow. "What am I looking at?" Elena asked. "The ship's brain," Milo answered, his voice hushed with awe. "Or at least, what's left of it. It's an AI core, far more advanced than anything we've built." Elena moved closer. The column contained what looked like a liquid suspended in zero gravity, with tiny lightning bolts occasionally arcing through the fluid. "Is it active?" "Partially," Milo replied. "It's fragmented, damaged. I believe that's why the ship was abandoned. The core intelligence was deemed irreparable by Scar standards." "But not by ours?" Elena asked, already seeing the gleam in her engineer's eyes. Milo shook his head. "The architecture it's revolutionary, even damaged. It's processing at rates our best quantum systems can't match. I think we might be able to restore partial functionality." Amina's expression darkened. "You want to activate an alien AI? Have you lost your mind?" "Not activate," Milo corrected. "Interface, carefully, with proper isolation protocols." Elena studied the pulsing column. "What could we gain?" "Everything," Milo whispered. "The ship's weapon systems, drive technology, navigation data. The AI is the key to it all." 3 days later, they made their first attempt at interfacing with the AI core. Elena watched from behind a reinforced barrier as Milo connected a series of adapters to the crystalline structure. They'd evacuated all non-essential personnel back to Earth's surface, leaving just 5 crew members aboard. "Initiating power transfer in 3, 2, 1. Milo's fingers danced across his tablet. The purple glow intensified, the liquid within the column churning violently. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, every light in the chamber flickered simultaneously. A holographic display erupted from the column, a swirling mass of alien symbols and diagrams that filled the air around them. Milo gasped as the symbols reflected in his wide eyes. "It's running a diagnostic," he whispered. It's trying to understand what happened to it." The symbols suddenly collapsed, reforming into a pulsing, vaguely humanoid shape made of light. It had no features, just a suggestion of form. When it spoke, the sound came from everywhere at once, a grating, multitonal voice that made Elena's teeth ache. "Function impaired. Core fragmentation, 63%. Requesting status." The words appeared as text across their tablets, translated by their systems. Milo looked to Elena, who nodded cautiously. "We found you damaged and abandoned," Milo said carefully. "We're not your creators. We're humans." The light form pulsed violently. "Unauthorized species. Security protocols activated." Alarms blared throughout the ship. Around them, dormant systems suddenly surged to life. Weapon ports cycling, gravity plating fluctuating wildly. "Shut it down!" Elena shouted as she was flung against the ceiling, then slammed back to the floor as gravity reversed. Milo frantically worked his tablet, but his hands were shaking. "It's locked me out. It's trying to—" A power surge exploded from his tablet, throwing him backward. His body convulsed as electrical current coursed through him. Elena lunged forward, grabbing an emergency cutoff switch on the wall. The lights died, plunging them into darkness. In the red glow of emergency lighting, Elena crawled to Milo's side. His breathing was shallow, burns marking where the current had entered his hands. "Medbay, now!" she shouted into her comm. "Man down!" As they carried Milo's unconscious form away, Elena looked back at the now dormant AI column. They had awakened something dangerous, something that saw them as enemies. But they'd also proven it could be reactivated. Now she faced an impossible choice: abandon the project or risk everything to tame what they'd awakened. His condition is stable, Dr. Sarah Okafor said, checking Milo's vital signs on the medical bay's monitor. Second-degree burns on both hands. Minor nerve damage that should heal with treatment. He was lucky. Elena nodded, relief washing over her. When will he regain consciousness? I've induced a medical coma to let his system recover from the shock. 48 hours, minimum. 3 days had passed since the AI incident. Elena had ordered the ship sealed off, with only remote monitoring drones permitted inside. The corporate backers who'd financed their salvage operation were growing impatient, demanding progress reports. What happened in there? Amina asked, leaning against the wall. That thing tried to kill you all. It was defending itself, Elena replied. It perceived us as a threat. Because we are one, Amina countered. We're trying to hijack its systems. Elena ran a hand over her face. We need to approach this differently. The direct interface was too aggressive. We need to communicate with it. Establish trust. Trust with an alien AI? It's damaged, confused, Elena insisted. It's operating on fragmented protocols. We need to show it we're not enemies. Amina pushed away from the wall. And if it decides to activate the weapon systems next time? That ship carries enough firepower to level a city. Elena had no answer for that. 2 weeks later, they tried again. This time, they set up a completely isolated system, a quantum computer connected to the AI through a one-way data bridge. If the AI tried anything hostile, they could sever the connection instantly. Elena stood beside the replacement engineer, Raj Kapoor, as he initiated the startup sequence. Power levels at 15%, Raj reported. Enough to communicate, not enough to activate major systems. The purple glow returned to the column, softer this time. The holographic form appeared again, flickering unstably. System compromised, function impaired, identify. Elena stepped forward. I am Captain Elena Reyes. We found your vessel abandoned. We're attempting to restore functionality. The form pulsed. Purpose of restoration? Elena hesitated. The truth, that they intended to study and possibly reverse engineer the ship's technology, might provoke another hostile response. Your vessel represents advanced technology, she said carefully. We wish to learn from it, to understand. The form seemed to study her. Core fragmentation prevents full assessment. This unit requires repair. We're attempting repairs, Elena replied. But your systems are different from ours. We need your help to understand them. For long moments, the form flickered silently. Then, provisional cooperation protocol engaged. Limited data exchange permitted. Raj looked up from his terminal, eyes wide with excitement. It's opening read-only access to its technical schematics. Over the following weeks, a fragile partnership formed. The AI, which they nicknamed Wraith for its ghostly appearance, provided limited access to the ship's technical data. In return, they worked to repair its fragmented memory core. Milo rejoined the project after his recovery, his hands still bandaged, but his mind sharp as ever. It's extraordinary, he told Elena as they reviewed the schematics. Their propulsion system uses principles we've only theorized about. Controlled manipulation of subspace fields to achieve faster-than-light travel, without the massive energy expenditure our jump drives require. Can we adapt it? Milo nodded slowly. With time, yes. But there's something else. He pulled up another schematic. Their weapon systems. They're beyond anything in our arsenal. Gravitational lances that could tear a capital ship apart. Plasma cannons that could glass a continent. Elena studied the designs, a chill running down her spine. Are they functional? No, but they could be. The implications hung between them. Human-Scar relations had been hostile for decades, with skirmishes along border systems becoming increasingly frequent. The Scar Empire viewed humans as vermin, a nuisance to be exterminated when they became too troublesome. If humanity possessed a vessel with Scar-level technology, "We proceed carefully," Elena finally said. "One system at a time. Propulsion first, then defensive capabilities. Weapons. We'll address those later." Milo nodded, but his expression remained troubled. "Captain, we need to discuss Wraith. Its cooperation is inconsistent. Sometimes it shares data freely. Other times it locks us out completely. I don't think we can trust it." "We don't need to trust it," Elena replied. "We just need to understand it." 6 months passed in a blur of feverish work. The corporate backers, seeing the potential of the project, poured in resources. The scrapyard became a high-security research facility, with hundreds of engineers and scientists working around the clock. They grafted human fusion reactors onto the Scar power grid, installed gravitic thrusters compatible with the alien hull, and adapted plasma mounts to the vessel's weapon ports. Throughout it all, Wraith remained an unpredictable partner, sometimes providing crucial insights, other times sabotaging their efforts with misleading data. "It's testing us," Milo theorized during one particularly frustrating setback, when a cooling system they'd installed according to Wraith's specifications catastrophically failed. "It's seeing how we respond, how we adapt, or it's still trying to protect its ship," Amina countered. She had remained skeptical throughout the project, her security teams constantly scanning for signs of hostile action. Elena found herself caught between her growing excitement over the project's potential and her increasing unease about Wraith's true intentions. Late one night, she visited the AI chamber alone. "Why did the Scar abandon you?" she asked directly. The holographic form appeared, more stable now than in their early interactions. "This unit failed to perform according to parameters. Efficiency degraded below acceptable levels." "They threw you away because you were damaged?" "Correct, resources better allocated to functional units." Elena shook her head. "That seems wasteful." "Efficiency is paramount. Failure is unacceptable." "Yet here you are, still functioning, still adapting." The form flickered. "Unexpected outcomes occur. This unit continues." "As do we," Elena replied. "Humans are good at making use of what others discard." The form pulsed once. "Observation. Humans demonstrate unexpected resilience. Inefficient but persistent." Elena smiled slightly. "That might be the closest thing to a compliment you've given us." After 9 months of work, the hybrid vessel was ready for its first test flight. They had christened it the Revenant, a fitting name for a ghost ship brought back from the dead. It retained the angular, predatory shape of Scar design, but now bore human modifications throughout: external power couplings, communication arrays, and reinforced viewports adapted for human use. Elena stood on the newly constructed bridge, surrounded by a mixture of human interfaces and adapted Scar technology. Her core crew from the Aurora's Edge manned the primary stations, with Milo at engineering and Amina at tactical. "All systems online," Milo reported. "Fusion reactors at 60% capacity, gravitic thrusters responding, defensive systems active," Amina added. "Hull integrity at 94%. Elena took a deep breath. "Wraith, status report." The holographic form appeared beside her, now permanently integrated into the ship's command systems. "All critical systems functional. Navigation calculations complete." "Release docking clamps," Elena ordered. "Thrusters at 1/4. The massive ship shuddered as it pulled away from the orbital facility. On the view screens, Elena could see the workers stopping to watch as the Revenant moved under its own power for the first time. "Increase to half thrust. Take us out past lunar orbit." The acceleration was smooth, far smoother than any human vessel Elena had piloted. The hybrid drive system handled the massive ship's bulk with an elegance that seemed impossible. "We've cleared Earth's gravity well," Milo reported. "All systems nominal." Elena glanced at the coordinates she'd already programmed into the navigation system. It was a small star system, uninhabited, just 2 jumps away, close enough to return quickly if needed, far enough to test the jump drive without witnesses. "Prepare for jump sequence," she ordered. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. This test wasn't on the official schedule. "Captain," Amina questioned. "We need to test the full capabilities," Elena replied firmly. "That includes the jump drive." Milo looked up from his station. "The jump drive hasn't been cleared for—" "The calculations check out," Elena interrupted. "Wraith has verified them." The holographic form pulsed in what Elena had come to recognize as affirmation. "Jump coordinates calculated. Probability of successful translation, 94.3%. Amina moved to Elena's side, speaking quietly. "This is reckless. We should return to the facility, run the proper simulations. By then, our corporate backers will have military observers swarming all over this ship," Elena cut in. "This might be our only chance to see what Revenant can really do, without interference." After a tense moment, Amina nodded reluctantly. "On your head be it, Captain." "Initiate jump sequence," Elena ordered. The hybrid jump drive engaged with a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through the deck plates. On the view screen, space itself seemed to bend, the stars stretching into lines of light. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. The universe disappeared. Conventional human jump drives created a jarring transition, a moment of disorientation as a vessel pushed through the barrier between normal space and the jump dimension. The Revenant's hybrid drive was different. There was no sensation of movement, just a smooth fade from one reality to another, then back again. "Jump complete," Milo announced, his voice tinged with awe. "We've arrived at the target coordinates. Transit time, 3 seconds. Elena stared at the readout in disbelief. 3 seconds. Verify that." "Confirmed. A jump that would take a human vessel nearly 2 minutes." The bridge erupted in excitement. A jump drive with that kind of efficiency represented a revolutionary advancement. The ability to outmaneuver any existing vessel, to strike without warning and vanish before a response could be mounted. "Run a full diagnostic," Elena ordered. "I want to know exactly how the drive performed." As the crew busied themselves with analysis, Elena turned to find Wraith's holographic form beside her. "Performance exceeds projected parameters," the AI stated. "Human adaptations have improved efficiency by 17.8%. Elena raised an eyebrow. "You sound surprised." "Adaptation was unexpected. Scar engineering presumed optimal." "Sometimes a fresh perspective helps," Elena replied. "Different doesn't always mean worse." The form pulsed. "Observation recorded." After a successful return jump, the Revenant docked at the orbital facility to triumphant celebration. News of the test's success spread quickly, and within days, the project had attracted attention at the highest levels of Earth's government. Admiral Winston Park arrived a week later, accompanied by a retinue of military officers and government officials. Elena watched from the Revenant's bridge as they boarded, their faces masks of professional interest that couldn't quite hide their eagerness. "They're going to try to take the ship," Amina predicted, standing beside her. "They can try," Elena replied quietly. The Admiral was impressive in person. Tall, with the weathered face of a career officer and eyes that missed nothing. He inspected the bridge with measured steps, occasionally asking pointed questions about specific systems. "Remarkable work, Captain Reyes," he finally said. "Truly remarkable. Your team has accomplished in months what our military engineers estimated would take years." "Thank you, Admiral." "Of course. Now that the prototype has been proven viable, we'll need to transition to proper military oversight. I've brought orders authorizing the transfer of command." Elena accepted the tablet he offered, scanning the document without changing her expression. I see. And my crew will be properly compensated. Of course. Those with military backgrounds may apply for positions on the permanent crew, subject to security clearance. Elena handed the tablet back. With respect, Admiral, the Revenant isn't just a military asset. It's a research vessel, a technological testbed. Putting it under strict military protocols would hamper our ability to continue development. The Admiral's smile tightened. Captain, this vessel represents the most significant advancement in human military capability in a century. It cannot remain under civilian control. It's not strictly civilian, Elena countered. Our corporate backers have defense contracts. We're already operating under security protocols. Insufficient ones, the Admiral replied flatly. We've received intelligence that word of this project has reached Scar Empire ears. They won't take kindly to humans possessing one of their dreadnoughts. That gave Elena pause. What kind of intelligence? Increased Scar Patrol activity in adjacent sectors. Unusual communication patterns among their border stations. They're looking for something, likely this ship. A cold weight settled in Elena's stomach. If the Scar Empire learned that humans had not only salvaged one of their vessels, but successfully adapted it for human use, their response would be swift and brutal. All the more reason to keep the ship mobile and under the command of the crew that knows it best, she argued. Military bureaucracy will only slow down further development. The Admiral studied her for a long moment. You're quite attached to this vessel, Captain. I found her. My crew risked their lives to bring her back. And yes, I believe we're the best qualified to continue her development. After a tense negotiation that stretched late into the night, a compromise was reached. The Revenant would remain under Elena's command, but with military oversight in the form of a small contingent of officers. The ship would be classified as an experimental defense vessel, giving it an ambiguous status that satisfied neither party completely. As the Admiral departed, he left Elena with a warning. The Scar Empire won't distinguish between civilian and military command. Captain, if they find this ship, they'll do everything in their power to destroy it, and anyone aboard. 2 weeks later, those words proved prophetic. The Revenant was conducting trials in an uninhabited system when the sensors detected the unmistakable energy signature of Scar vessels emerging from jump. 3 patrol ships, Amina reported from Tactical. Destroyer class. They've detected us. Elena's mind raced. The Revenant had been fitted with functional defensive systems and limited weapons capability, but they'd never been tested in actual combat. Running was the obvious choice. Their jump drive could easily outpace the Scar vessels. But something held her back. This might be their only chance to test the Revenant's capabilities against actual Scar technology. The patrol ships were powerful, but not overwhelmingly so. And the element of surprise was on their side. The Scar would not expect their salvaged vessel to be combat-ready. Battle stations, she ordered. Charge weapon systems. Prepare for engagement. The bridge crew stared at her in shock. Captain, Milo protested, we haven't completed weapons testing. We can't risk. We need to know if this ship can fight. Elena cut him off. Better to find out against patrol ships than a dreadnought. Amina's face was grim as she activated the tactical systems. Weapons charging. Point defense grid online. Hull polarization at maximum. Wraith, Elena called. Battle assessment. The holographic form appeared, pulsing with unusual intensity. Scar Patrol Formation Standard. Vessels identified as 13th Border Fleet. Weapons charging. Tactical advantage. Revenant. How do you calculate that? Elena asked. Patrol vessels, not equipped for dreadnought-class engagement. Their weapons insufficient against our hull rating. Our weapons exceed their defensive capabilities. Elena nodded. Recommendations? Engage at medium range. Utilize superior firepower. Prevent coordinated attack pattern. The Scar vessels had formed a triangular formation. a standard approach pattern that would allow them to surround a target. They clearly hadn't identified the Revenant as a threat yet. They were approaching cautiously, but not with battle urgency. "Bring us about," Elena ordered. "Target the lead vessel. Gravitational lance at 1/3 power." The Revenant turned with surprising grace for its size. Its hybrid engines providing maneuverability, no human ship of comparable mass could match. On the view screen, Elena could see the Scar Patrol ships adjusting their course, likely confused by the unknown vessel's behavior. "They're hailing us," Amina reported. "Ignore it," Elena replied. "They're trying to identify us." "In range in 5 seconds," Amina announced. "Gravitational lance locked on target." Elena took a deep breath. "Fire." The lance fired with barely a shudder, a testament to the efficiency of the hybrid systems. On the view screen, a near-invisible distortion wave rippled across space, striking the lead Scar vessel amidships. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The ship's hull compressed, as if crushed by an invisible hand, its structural integrity failing catastrophically. Secondary explosions bloomed along its length as overloaded systems detonated. The bridge fell silent as they watched the Scar vessel break apart. "Direct hit," Amina finally reported, her voice hushed. "Target destroyed." The remaining Scar vessels reacted immediately, breaking formation and accelerating to attack speed. Energy readings showed they were charging weapons and diverting power to shields. "They're targeting our propulsion systems," Amina warned. "Incoming fire!" The Revenant shuddered as Scar energy beams struck its hull. Damage reports flashed across the tactical display, but the hybrid shields held. "Return fire," Elena ordered. "Plasma cannons, full spread." The Revenant's cannons released brilliant blue-white bolts of contained plasma, each carrying enough energy to level a small city. The Scar vessels attempted evasive maneuvers, but one was too slow. A plasma bolt caught it squarely in the bow, vaporizing its forward section instantly. The remainder of the ship tumbled away, crippled and powerless. The third Scar vessel, seeing the fate of its companions, abruptly changed course. Its energy signature spiked as it prepared to jump. "They're running," Amina reported. "Jump signature detected." "Let them go," Elena ordered. The Scar ship disappeared in a flash of distorted space, leaving the Revenant alone amid the debris of the destroyed vessels. Silence hung over the bridge. What had just happened was unprecedented. A single vessel destroying 2 Scar Patrol ships in less than 5 minutes of engagement. Even military vessels with far more firepower than the Revenant would have struggled to achieve such a decisive victory. "Damage report," Elena finally requested. "Minor hull scoring on decks 3 through 7, Milo replied. "No critical systems affected. Shields already regenerating." Elena nodded, trying to process the implications of what they'd just done. The Revenant wasn't just viable. It was lethal. A predator unlike anything humanity had fielded before. "The third vessel will report what happened," Amina said quietly. "They'll know about us now." "Good," Elena replied, surprising herself with the vehemence in her voice. "Let them know what they're facing." Later, as the Revenant jumped back toward Earth, civilian observation stations along their route captured images of the vessel. Within days, the news networks were buzzing with reports of the Ghost Ship, a mysterious vessel of unknown origin that had destroyed Scar Patrol ships with unprecedented ease. Some reports called it a galactic terror, others a guardian angel. Elena watched the broadcasts from her quarters, a growing unease settling in her stomach. They had created something powerful, something that could change the course of human-Scar relations forever. But as images of the destroyed Scar vessels played across the screen, she found herself wondering, had they created a shield to protect humanity, or a sword that would only escalate the conflict? Deep within Scar Empire territory, the high command chamber of the warship, Eternal Dominance, hummed with agitated conversation. 6 Scar warlords stood around a holographic projection of the Revenant, their triple-jointed upper limbs gesticulating in sharp, angry movements. Commander Zelthar, his scarified carapace marking him as a veteran of numerous campaigns, manipulated the projection to highlight the modifications visible on the hybrid vessel. "The humans have desecrated a dreadnought-class vessel," he stated, his voice a grating combination of clicks and subharmonic tones. "They have adapted our technologies to their crude methods and created an abomination." High Warlord Venkar, the most senior officer present, extended a limb through the projection. "How did they acquire a dreadnought? All such vessels are accounted for." "Not all," Zelthar replied. "The experimental prototype, Silent Retribution, was abandoned in the Outer Reach when its AI core proved defective. It was deemed unrecoverable. Evidently, the humans disagreed with that assessment," another warlord remarked dryly. Zelthar's sensory tendrils pulsed with anger. The patrol commander's final transmission indicated the vessel possessed functional gravitational weaponry. "If the humans have successfully reverse-engineered our gravitic lance technology..." He didn't need to finish the thought. Such technology in human hands represented a catastrophic security breach. "This vessel must be destroyed," High Warlord Venkar declared. "Immediately and completely. No salvageable remains can be permitted." "I volunteer to command the Hunter Force," Zelthar said. "My dreadnought, inevitable conclusion is fully prepared for immediate deployment." The High Warlord considered the offer. Zelthar was known for his ruthless efficiency in exterminating human colonies, but also for his occasional tactical overconfidence. "Proceed," Venkar finally decided. "But understand the stakes, Commander. If this human abomination is allowed to provide a template for others, the strategic balance will shift. This cannot be permitted." Zelthar's mouth parts clicked in acknowledgement. "The humans have stumbled upon power they cannot comprehend. I will ensure they do not live to utilize it." Back on Earth, the Revenant had become the center of a political storm. Military leaders demanded full control of the vessel, citing its proven combat capabilities. Corporate interests fought to maintain their stake in the technology. Colonial representatives argued that the ship should be used to protect vulnerable outer settlements from Scar aggression. Admiral Park summoned Elena to a high-level briefing at Fleet Command Headquarters. The angular meeting room was filled with senior officers and government officials, all of whom fell silent as she entered. "Captain Reyes," the Admiral began without preamble, "your engagement with the Scar Patrol has created a complicated situation." "I was unaware that destroying enemy vessels constituted a complicated situation, Admiral," Elena replied evenly. A thin smile crossed the Admiral's face. "Politically complicated, Captain. Your ship has become a symbol of human ingenuity, of resistance against Scar aggression. Public opinion strongly favors putting the Revenant to active use defending our colonies. And military opinion is divided. Some believe we should reverse-engineer the technology before risking the vessel in combat. Others want to deploy it immediately as a show of force. And what do you believe, Admiral?" Admiral Park studied her for a moment. "I believe the Scar Empire will respond to the destruction of their patrol ships with overwhelming force. They cannot allow a rogue dreadnought, especially one operated by humans, to exist. They will hunt the Revenant relentlessly." Elena nodded. She had reached the same conclusion. "Then we should prepare for that hunt." "Indeed. Which is why I've authorized expanded armament for the Revenant. Your vessel will be equipped with our latest missile systems, upgraded shield generators, and enhanced sensor arrays." "Thank you, Admiral." "Don't thank me yet, Captain. Along with these upgrades comes a mission." The Admiral activated a holographic display, showing a sector of space near the border of Scar territory. "Long-range sensors have detected a Scar battle group entering this region. Intelligence suggests they're searching for the Revenant." Elena studied the tactical display. A hunter force. Precisely. Led by a dreadnought-class vessel designated Inevitable Conclusion. Its commander, Zelthar, has a reputation for brutality against human targets. "You want us to engage this force?" Elena asked, surprised. Admiral Park shook his head. "No. I want you to evade it. The Revenant is too valuable to risk in a direct confrontation with a full Scar battle group. Your mission is to gather intelligence on their capabilities and tactics, then return without being detected." Elena frowned. It was a sensible order, but something about it felt wrong. The Revenant had proven itself in combat. Running and hiding seemed wasteful. "And if we're detected?" she asked. "Use your jump drive to escape. Under no circumstances are you to engage the Scar dreadnought. That's a direct order, Captain." Elena nodded stiffly. "Understood, Admiral." 3 days later, the Revenant departed Earth orbit with its new upgrades installed. The ship felt different, more balanced, more complete. The human and Scar technologies had been more fully integrated, creating a vessel that was truly unique in the galaxy. Elena gathered her senior crew in the tactical room to brief them on their mission. Milo and Amina were joined by Lieutenant Commander Marcus Vega, the senior military officer assigned to the Revenant, and Dr. Sarah Okafor, who had joined the crew permanently as Chief Medical Officer. "We're to locate and observe a Scar Hunter force without being detected," Elena explained, displaying the tactical data from Fleet Command. "No engagement unless absolutely necessary for survival." "A reconnaissance mission," Amina summarized. "Seems straightforward enough." Milo looked less convinced. "The Scar dreadnought will have superior detection capabilities. Staying hidden won't be easy." "That's where our hybrid systems come in," Elena replied. "Wraith has developed a method to mask our energy signature by modulating our power output to mimic background radiation." The holographic form of Wraith appeared beside the tactical display. "Simulation indicates 87.3% effectiveness against standard Scar detection systems." "And the other 12.7%, Lieutenant Commander Vega asked skeptically. "Variables beyond calculation," Wraith replied. "Commander Zelthar's tactical adaptability introduces uncertainty." Elena studied the holographic representation of the Scar dreadnought. It was larger than the Revenant, with a more aggressive profile and visibly heavier armament. A direct confrontation would be challenging. "We'll maintain a safe distance," she decided. "Jump in at the edge of the sector, gather what intelligence we can, then withdraw before they detect us." The mission proceeded according to plan. At first, the Revenant jumped into the target sector at its outermost boundary, immediately activating its stealth systems. Long-range sensors detected the Scar battle group approximately 2 light minutes away, close enough to observe, far enough to escape if detected. 5 vessels, Amina reported from tactical. The dreadnought Inevitable Conclusion at the center. 4 destroyer-class vessels in escort formation. "They're conducting a systematic search pattern," Lieutenant Commander Vega observed. "Methodical, thorough. They're leaving no sector unchecked." Elena studied the Scar vessel's movement. They were being unusually patient, using active sensors only intermittently to avoid revealing their own position. It was almost as if they know we're watching them, she realized suddenly. This is a performance. They're trying to draw us in. As if confirming her suspicion, the Scar vessels abruptly changed course, breaking their search pattern and accelerating away from the Revenant's position. "They're heading for the Corellia asteroid field," Milo reported. "Dense concentration of mineral-rich asteroids. Heavy radiation background from an adjacent pulsar. Perfect hiding place," Amina noted. "For them or for us." Elena considered their options. Following the Scar vessels into the asteroid field would be dangerous. Limited visibility, unpredictable navigational hazards, increased risk of detection. But if the Scar force was setting a trap, that meant they had valuable intelligence on the Revenant. intelligence they needed to acquire. "Set course for the asteroid field," she ordered. "Minimum power. Passive sensors only." Lieutenant Commander Vega straightened. "Captain, our orders were explicit. Observation only. No unnecessary risks." "We're still observing, Commander. Just from a closer vantage point." "An asteroid field limits our jump options," he pressed. "If detected, we might not be able to escape." "Noted, Commander." Elena's tone made it clear the discussion was over. "Proceed with the approach." The Revenant glided into the Corellia field, like a shark entering murky waters. The asteroids ranged from car-sized rocks to massive planetoids several kilometers across. Radiation from the nearby pulsar created sensor ghosts and false readings, making it difficult to maintain a clear picture of the Scar vessel's positions. "I've lost track of 2 of the destroyer escorts," Amina reported, frustration evident in her voice. "The radiation is scrambling our passive sensors." "Wraith, can you compensate?" Elena asked. The holographic form pulsed. "Attempting sensor recalibration, partial success. Dreadnought signature still detectable. Escort vessels intermittent." Elena studied the tactical display. The Scar dreadnought had taken position near a massive asteroid, nearly 10 kilometers across. Its energy signature had diminished, suggesting it had powered down non-essential systems, perhaps to avoid detection, perhaps in preparation for ambush. "They're waiting for something," she murmured. "Or someone," Amina added quietly. The realization struck Elena with sudden clarity. "Us! They're waiting for us! This entire operation is a trap specifically for the Revenant." As if triggered by her words, proximity alarms blared across the bridge. Energy signatures flared to life on the tactical display as 2 Scar destroyers emerged from behind nearby asteroids, their weapon systems powering up. "Ambush!" Amina shouted. 2 destroyers, bearing 147 and 219. "Evasive maneuvers," Elena ordered. "Full power to engines." The Revenant surged forward as the hybrid engines engaged, narrowly avoiding the first volley of energy beams from the Scar vessels. The ship weaved between asteroids, using the natural cover to break the destroyer's targeting locks. "The dreadnought is powering up," Milo reported urgently. "All weapon systems active." "We need to jump out," Lieutenant Commander Vega insisted. "We're outgunned and outnumbered." Elena's mind raced. The Scar had sprung their trap too early. The destroyers had revealed their position before the Revenant was fully surrounded. There was still a chance to turn the situation to their advantage. "Negative," she replied. "We proceed with the plan." "What plan?" Vega demanded. Elena turned to Wraith's holographic form. "Execute Scenario Omega." The form pulsed rapidly. "Executing!" Alarms blared across the bridge as systems throughout the ship began to shut down. Emergency lighting flickered on as main power failed. "What's happening?" Vega shouted. "Controlled system failure," Elena explained calmly. "We're playing dead." Understanding dawned on Amina's face. "You anticipated this." "I considered it a possibility," Elena corrected. "The Scar are hunting us. If they think we're crippled, they'll approach to verify the kill before reporting back. That gives us an opportunity." The Revenant drifted lifelessly, rotating slowly, as if from the impact of weapons fire. On the minimal emergency displays, Elena could see the Scar destroyers circling cautiously, scanning the apparently disabled vessel. "Power levels at 5%, Milo reported quietly. "All non-essential systems offline. We're emitting radiation consistent with a catastrophic reactor breach." "The destroyers are reporting to the dreadnought," Amina added, monitoring the encrypted Scar communications. "They believe we're crippled." Elena nodded. "Now we wait." Tense minutes passed as the crew of the Revenant held their positions, the ship continuing its convincing impression of a mortally wounded vessel on the tactical display. Elena watched as the Scar dreadnought finally moved from its position, approaching to inspect its prey. "Dreadnought on approach vector," Amina whispered. Escort vessels maintaining perimeter. Distance to optimal engagement range? Elena asked. 2 minutes at current speed. Elena turned to Milo. Prepare for emergency power restoration on my mark. All energy to weapon systems. Lieutenant Commander Vega stepped forward. Captain, this is a direct violation of orders. We were explicitly instructed not to engage the dreadnought. We're not engaging, Commander. We're defending ourselves from an ambush. Elena's gaze was steely. Unless you have a better suggestion for escaping our current situation? Vega's jaw tightened, but he stepped back without further protest. On the tactical display, the Scar dreadnought loomed ever closer. It was a massive vessel, easily twice the size of the Revenant, its hull bristling with weapon ports and sensor arrays. It approached confidently, clearly not expecting its disabled prey to pose any threat. Optimal range in 30 seconds, Amina reported. Targeting solutions? Elena asked. Gravitational lance locked on their primary power core. Plasma cannons targeted on propulsion systems. 20 seconds. Elena studied the dreadnought's approach. It had slowed, likely preparing to deploy boarding parties to salvage what they could from the Revenant. Perfect. 10 seconds. All hands, brace for combat acceleration, Elena announced over the ship-wide comm. Wraith, on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Revenant surged back to life, with explosive force. Emergency systems gave way to full power as the hybrid reactors roared from standby to maximum output in seconds. The sudden acceleration pressed the crew into their seats as the ship lunged forward, directly toward the Scar dreadnought. Fire all weapons, Elena ordered. The gravitational lance fired first, its invisible distortion wave striking the dreadnought's central hull. Unlike the patrol ships, the dreadnought's reinforced structure held, but the impact was still devastating. Secondary explosions bloomed across its hull as internal systems overloaded. The plasma cannons followed, releasing a barrage of energy bolts that tore into the dreadnought's propulsion systems. 2 of its main engine ports erupted in flame, venting atmosphere and debris into space. The Scar vessel reeled from the unexpected attack, its defensive systems activating too late to prevent the initial damage. But it recovered quickly, bringing its own formidable weapons to bear. Incoming fire, Amina warned. Multiple energy signatures. The Revenant shuddered as Scar energy beams struck its hull. Damage reports flashed across tactical displays as armor plating buckled under the assault. Hull breach on Deck 5, Milo reported. Automatic seals engaged. Continue attack run, Elena ordered. All power to forward shields. The Revenant pressed its attack, diving toward the wounded dreadnought like a predator going for the kill. The 2 massive vessels exchanged devastating volleys at point-blank range, their shields flaring with each impact. Their escorts are moving to intercept, Amina warned. Ignore them, Elena replied. Focus all fire on the dreadnought. We need to cripple it before the escorts can coordinate. Another barrage from the Scar vessel rocked the Revenant, sending cascading power failures through several decks. Emergency klaxons wailed as damage control teams rushed to contain the breaches. We can't sustain this exchange, Milo warned, his hands flying over his console as he rerouted power from damaged systems. Their raw firepower exceeds ours. Elena had expected as much. The Revenant was powerful, but it was still an experimental vessel with hybrid systems facing a purpose-built Scar warship. They couldn't win a prolonged engagement, but they didn't need to. Wraith, status of the dreadnought's jump drive? The holographic form pulsed urgently. Scar vessel jump drive offline. Estimated repair time, 47 minutes. Elena smiled grimly. Perfect. Helm, prepare for emergency jump. Target coordinates already programmed. Captain, Vega protested. We can finish this. Their primary weapons are failing. We've accomplished our objective, Commander. Elena cut him off. We've confirmed the Revenant can stand against a Scar dreadnought and survive. That's enough for today. The Revenant broke off its attack run, executing a tight turn that narrowly avoided another energy barrage from the wounded dreadnought. The escort destroyers moved to pursue, but they were too late. The hybrid jump drive engaged, and the Revenant vanished from the battlefield, leaving behind a crippled Scar dreadnought and the shattered remains of Commander Zelthar's reputation. The Revenant limped back to Earth, its hull bearing the scars of its encounter with the Scar dreadnought. The damage was significant but repairable, a testament to the durability of the hybrid vessel. Elena expected a court-martial upon their return. She had directly disobeyed orders, risking a valuable military asset in exactly the kind of engagement she'd been explicitly instructed to avoid. Instead, she found herself being hailed as a hero, the first human commander to defeat a Scar dreadnought in direct combat. Admiral Park informed her as they walked through the orbital repair facility where the Revenant was being serviced. Do you have any idea what that means for morale, for recruitment, for public support of the war effort?
I nearly lost the ship, Admiral,
Elena replied honestly.
It was a calculated risk that could have ended very differently.
The Admiral nodded. True, but it didn't. And now we know something crucial. The Scar aren't invincible. Their most powerful vessels can be defeated by human ingenuity. Elena wasn't sure she shared the Admiral's optimism. The encounter had proven the Revenant was formidable. Yes, but it had also shown the limits of their hybrid technology. Without the element of surprise, the outcome might have been very different. What happens now? She asked. Admiral Park's expression grew more serious. Now, Captain, we prepare for war. The Scar Empire won't take this humiliation lightly. They'll respond with overwhelming force, likely targeting our border colonies first, then moving inward.
Unless we strike first, Elena suggested.
A preemptive strike? With what? We have one Revenant, and it's currently undergoing repairs. The rest of our fleet is outmatched by Scar technology.
Then we build more.
The Admiral stopped walking, turning to face her fully. More Revenants? Do you know how many resources went into adapting that single vessel? How many engineering teams worked around the clock? The expertise required to integrate Scar and human technology?
I do, Elena replied. I was there for all of it. And I believe we can replicate the process, faster and more efficiently now that we know what works.
Admiral Park studied her with newfound interest. You have something specific in mind. The Scar Empire has been at war with various species for centuries, Elena explained. Not all of those conflicts ended in their favor. There are graveyards of abandoned Scar vessels scattered throughout the borderlands, ships deemed too damaged to recover, crews killed in action with no survivors to report their locations. Salvage operations, the Admiral realized, on a massive scale. Elena nodded. The Aurora's Edge wasn't the only salvage vessel operating in those regions. If we coordinate our efforts, form specialized recovery teams led by engineers who worked on the Revenant, we could create a fleet, the Admiral finished. A ghost armada built from the Scar Empire's discarded failures. Exactly. Admiral Park turned away, staring out a viewport at the Revenant in its repair cradle. After a long moment, he asked, How many ships do you think we could recover, realistically?
Enough to change the course of the war, Elena replied. Enough to take the fight to them, for once.
The plan was approved at the highest levels of Earth's government. Resources that had been allocated for conventional shipbuilding were redirected to support a massive salvage initiative. Dozens of vessels like the Aurora's Edge were commissioned or retrofitted, then dispatched to the borderlands with specialized recovery teams. The operation was conducted with absolute secrecy. Ships maintained radio silence except for encrypted burst transmissions. Recovered Scar vessels were towed to hidden facilities constructed in asteroid fields and abandoned star systems, far from the regular patrol routes of either human or Scar fleets. Elena divided her time between overseeing repairs to the Revenant and coordinating the salvage operations. Milo developed standardized procedures for adapting SCAR technology to human use, creating detailed manuals that allowed engineering teams to work independently. Amina trained security teams to handle the unique challenges of boarding and securing derelict SCAR vessels, developing protocols for dealing with dormant defense systems and damaged AI cores. Months passed. The SCAR Empire, humiliated by the defeat of Commander Zelthar's dreadnought, intensified its attacks on human colonies. Border outposts fell one by one as SCAR fleets pressed deeper into human territory than ever before. Earth's conventional forces fought desperately to slow the advance, but they were outmatched by superior SCAR technology and numbers. The Ghost Armada took shape in secrecy. One by one, abandoned SCAR vessels were recovered, repaired, and retrofitted with hybrid systems. None were as large or as powerful as the Revenant, but collectively, they represented a force unlike anything humans had fielded before. AI cores were a particular challenge. Most recovered vessels had damaged or dormant artificial intelligence systems, similar to what Elena's crew had found in the original dreadnought. Milo developed a method of linking these fragmented AIs with human-designed quantum computers, creating hybrid intelligences that were less sophisticated than Wraith, but functional enough to operate the vessel's complex systems. The Revenant, fully repaired and upgraded, became the flagship of this hidden fleet. Elena was promoted to Commodore, given command of the entire Ghost Armada. Lieutenant Commander Vega, who had come to respect Elena's unconventional tactics, was promoted to captain and given command of one of the recovered destroyers. As the SCAR Empire's offensive reached its height, a secret assembly of colony representatives and military leaders gathered aboard the Revenant to plan humanity's response. The meeting chamber, once designed for SCAR warlords, had been adapted for human use, another symbol of the transformation they had achieved. The SCAR believe they are winning this war. Elena addressed the assembled leaders. They believe it is only a matter of time before they reach Earth itself. This misconception is our greatest advantage. Admiral Park, now the highest-ranking officer present, nodded in agreement. Our conventional forces have been ordered to continue a fighting retreat, yielding territory strategically to reinforce the illusion of human weakness. Meanwhile, Elena continued, activating a holographic display of the Ghost Armada. We have assembled a fleet of 43 hybrid vessels. Each one incorporates SCAR technology adapted for human use, with capabilities that match or exceed their original specifications. Murmurs of amazement spread through the chamber as the leaders took in the scale of what had been accomplished in secret. The SCAR Empire is currently focusing its main fleet on the Orion Corridor, Elena explained, highlighting a region of space where multiple human colonies had recently fallen. Their supply lines are extended, and their homeworld, Vorak Prime, is less heavily defended than at any time in the past decade. Admiral Park stepped forward. Commodore Reyes is proposing a direct strike at the heart of the SCAR Empire, a coordinated attack on Vorak Prime itself. The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations and heated debate. The suggestion was audacious to the point of insanity. No alien force had ever successfully attacked a core SCAR world, let alone their heavily fortified homeworld. Elena waited for the commotion to subside before continuing. I understand your concerns, but consider our unique advantage. The SCAR do not know this fleet exists. They believe the Revenant is a singular anomaly, not the vanguard of an armada. Furthermore, our vessels use modified SCAR IFF systems, identification protocols that will confuse their automated defenses long enough for us to achieve orbital superiority. And once we have that superiority, a colonial governor asked skeptically, Vorak Prime has a planetary defense shield and surface-to-orbit supercannons. Even with orbital control, a ground invasion would be suicide. We're not planning an invasion, Elena replied. We're planning a surgical strike. She highlighted a specific location on the holographic representation of Vorak Prime. This is the central control complex for their planetary defense grid. A small team can infiltrate the facility and overload the main reactors, creating a cascading failure that will disable their defensive capabilities. A suicide mission, someone muttered. A calculated risk, Elena corrected. One that offers us the chance to end this war in a single decisive action, rather than watching our colonies fall one by one until Earth itself is threatened. The debate continued for hours, with valid concerns raised about the risks of the operation and the potential consequences of failure. In the end, however, the desperate reality of their situation won out. The Scar offensive had already claimed 12 colony worlds. Earth's conventional forces could not hold out indefinitely. A bold strike might be their only chance. The plan was approved. The Ghost Armada would attack Vorak Prime, while Earth's remaining conventional forces launched diversionary attacks in other sectors, drawing away as many Scar vessels as possible. A small strike team, led by Sergeant Amina Jail, would infiltrate the planetary defense complex and disable the shield generators. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Park took Elena aside. You understand that if this fails, humanity will have no fallback position. The Scar will annihilate our remaining forces and proceed directly to Earth. I understand, Elena replied quietly. But continuing as we are guarantees the same outcome, just more slowly. This way, we at least have a chance. The Admiral nodded solemnly. For what it's worth, I believe you've given us our best shot. The Ghost Armada is a miracle of human ingenuity. Whatever happens, remember that. Elena watched the leaders depart, each returning to their vessels to prepare for the coming battle. She remained in the command chamber, studying the holographic display of Vorak Prime. The Scar homeworld was a heavily industrialized planet, its natural environment long since sacrificed to the Empire's war machine. Massive shipyards orbited like metallic moons, while defense platforms formed a protective web around the planet. Survival probability calculation complete, Wraith announced, its holographic form appearing beside her. And, Elena asked, though she suspected the answer. Mission success, probability, 31.7%. Fleet survival, probability, 22.4%. Better odds than she had expected, actually. And if we do nothing, human extinction probability within 5 standard years, 97.6%. Elena nodded grimly. Then we proceed as planned. The Ghost Armada departed from its hidden staging areas 2 days later, traveling in small groups along divergent routes to avoid detection. They would rendezvous at a predetermined point just outside the Vorak system, then launch their coordinated attack. Elena stood on the bridge of the Revenant as the fleet assembled for the final jump. On the tactical display, she could see the 43 vessels of the Ghost Armada, a motley collection of recovered and retrofitted Scar technology that represented humanity's last, best hope. All vessels report ready. Commodore. Captain Vega reported from his position as fleet coordinator. Jump calculations verified and synchronized. Elena took a deep breath, aware of the weight of the moment. Signal all ships. Commence jump sequence. The hybrid jump drives engaged simultaneously, creating a rippling distortion in space as the entire fleet translated into the jump dimension. The journey to the Vorak system would take approximately 17 minutes, an eternity for the tense crews waiting to face the heart of the Scar Empire. Elena used the time to make a final inspection of the Revenant. The ship had been her home for nearly 2 years now, from that first discovery of the derelict to this final, desperate mission. She ran her hand along a bulkhead where Scar material had been seamlessly fused with human components, a physical representation of what they had accomplished. Wraith, she said, ship status? The holographic form appeared beside her. All systems optimal, weapons charged, shields at maximum capacity. And your status? Elena asked more quietly. The form pulsed in what Elena had come to recognize as contemplation. This unit is functioning within parameters. That's not what I asked. Elena pressed. Over the months, Wraith had evolved from a fragmented, hostile entity into something more complex. Still alien, still bound by its programming, but also capable of adaptation and even a form of growth. This unit has considerations beyond immediate tactical objectives. Wraith finally responded. Human adaptation has proven significant, unexpected outcomes have resulted from cooperation. Elena smiled slightly. That might be the closest thing to a philosophical statement I've heard from you. Philosophy, inefficient, but perhaps not without value. Before Elena could respond, the ship-wide comm activated. Commodore to the bridge, jump sequence completing in 2 minutes. The moment of truth had arrived. Elena returned to the bridge, taking her position at the command station. Around her, the crew worked with quiet efficiency, each focused on their tasks despite the enormous stakes. Jump complete in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The fleet emerged from jump space directly into the Vorax system, approximately 1 light minute from the planet itself. Immediately, alarm klaxons sounded as the sensors detected the massive SCAR defensive network. Orbital defenses active, Amina reported from Tactical. 8 defense platforms, 16 patrol vessels, 3 dreadnoughts in high orbit. Deploy according to plan, Elena ordered. Assault groups target the defense platforms. Strike group prepare for atmospheric insertion. Revenant will engage the dreadnoughts to create a diversion. The Ghost Armada split into its predetermined formations, each group accelerating toward their assigned targets. The element of surprise worked in their favor. The SCAR defenses reacted with visible confusion to the sudden appearance of what appeared to be their own vessels attacking the homeworld. The Revenant led a group of 7 ships directly toward the orbiting SCAR dreadnoughts, which were already moving to intercept the unexpected threat. They're hailing us on SCAR military frequencies, Amina reported, demanding identification. Ignore it, Elena replied. All weapons free. Target the lead dreadnought. The Revenant opened fire, its gravitational lance striking the SCAR vessel amidships. The other ships in Elena's group followed suit, unleashing a barrage of plasma fire and conventional missiles. The SCAR dreadnoughts returned fire, their superior firepower partially offset by their initial confusion and the Revenant's enhanced defensive systems. The space around Vorak Prime erupted in a firestorm of energy beams, missile contrails, and the silent flashes of ships dying in vacuum. Meanwhile, the strike team led by Sergeant Amina Jail approached the planet in a small, stealthy craft designed to mimic a SCAR atmospheric shuttle. They slipped through a gap in the orbital defenses created by the Ghost Armada's attack, descending toward the surface of Vorak Prime. Strike team reports successful atmospheric entry, Captain Vega announced amid the chaos of the bridge. Proceeding to target. Elena acknowledged with a nod, her attention focused on the battle unfolding around them. 2 of the orbital defense platforms had already been destroyed by the Ghost Armada, but at a cost. 5 of their ships had been lost in the process. The Revenant shuddered as a direct hit from one of the SCAR dreadnoughts overwhelmed a section of its shields. Damage reports flashed across tactical displays as armor plating buckled and internal systems failed. Reroute power from affected sections, Elena ordered. Maintain focus on the lead dreadnought. We need to keep their attention on us, not on the strike team. The battle raged with increasing ferocity. The Ghost Armada fought with the desperation of those who knew failure meant extinction, while the SCAR defenders fought with the outrage of those facing an unprecedented attack on their homeworld. On the surface of Vorak Prime, Amina's strike team fought their way through the massive defense complex. The facility had been designed to repel external attacks, not infiltration by a small, determined force using SCAR access codes recovered from captured data cores. Strike team reports they've reached the central reactor chamber, Vega announced, commencing sabotage operation. Elena allowed herself a moment of hope. If the strike team succeeded, the planetary shield would fall, allowing the Ghost Armada to target key military installations on the surface. It wouldn't destroy the Scar Empire, but it would cripple their war machine long enough for humanity to rebuild its defenses. The Revenant spun in a tight, evasive maneuver as two of the Scar dreadnoughts coordinated their fire against it. The hybrid vessel's superior maneuverability allowed it to avoid the worst of the barrage, but not all of it. More damage reports flooded in as systems failed throughout the ship. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7, Milo reported, his voice strained. Life support failing in the aft sections. We can't take much more of this. Captain. Elena studied the tactical display. The Ghost Armada had destroyed 6 of the 8 orbital defense platforms and was engaging the remaining Scar Patrol vessels. But they had lost nearly a third of their ships in the process, and the remaining vessels were reporting significant damage. "Strike team status?" she demanded. "Final charges set," Vega replied. "They're initiating the overload sequence now." A new alarm sounded from the tactical station. "Multiple jump signatures detected," Amina's replacement shouted. "Scar reinforcements arriving." Elena's heart sank as she saw the tactical display update. A massive Scar fleet had just emerged from jump space. At least 30 vessels, including 5 dreadnoughts. They must have been recalled from the front lines as soon as the attack on Vorak Prime began. "All ships, prepare for emergency jump," Elena ordered. "We've done what we came to do. Now we need to survive to fight another day." "Strike team requesting extraction," Vega reported. "Their shuttle was damaged during landing." Elena closed her eyes briefly. There was no way to reach the surface through the reinforced Scar fleet. Tell them to complete the mission. The Ghost Armada will carry word of their sacrifice." Before Vega could relay the message, the tactical display lit up with a massive energy surge from the planet's surface. The defense complex erupted in a blinding explosion that cascaded outward, engulfing surrounding facilities as the overloaded reactors reached critical mass. "They did it," Milo whispered. Almost immediately, the planetary shield flickered and failed. Alarms sounded throughout the Scar fleet as their primary defense system collapsed, leaving the homeworld vulnerable for the first time in centuries. "All ships, target designated surface installations," Elena ordered. "Fire everything you have, then prepare to jump." The Ghost Armada unleashed its remaining firepower against the now exposed military complexes on Vorak Prime. Weapons facilities, command centers, and shipyards that had produced the vessels that terrorized human space for decades were engulfed in plasma fire. The Scar reinforcements accelerated toward the Ghost Armada, but they were too late to prevent the damage. By the time they reached effective firing range, the hybrid vessels were already initiating their jump sequences. "All surviving ships report jump capability," Vega announced. "Awaiting your order, Commodore." Elena took one last look at the tactical display. Vorak Prime burned beneath them, its military infrastructure in ruins. The Scar Empire had not been destroyed, but it had been wounded more deeply than at any point in its long history. "Signal to all ships," she said quietly. "Mission complete. Jump to fallback coordinates." As the Revenant prepared to jump, Elena activated a broad-spectrum transmission, one that would be received by both human colonies and Scar outposts throughout the sector. "This is Commodore Elena Reyes of the Ghost Armada," she began. "Today, humanity has struck a blow against tyranny. The Scar Empire believed they could discard what they deemed broken and useless. They were wrong. What they abandoned, we reclaimed. What they discarded, we transformed. Let this be a lesson to any who would threaten human worlds. We turn your failures into our strengths. We are resilient. We adapt. We survive." She paused, then added a final warning, as much to her own people as to the Scar. "But let us not become what we fought against. Victory should bring wisdom, not hubris. Remember this day not as a triumph of destruction, but as proof that innovation prevails over dominance. The hybrid jump drive engaged, and the Revenant vanished from Vorak space, leading the surviving vessels of the Ghost Armada back toward human territory. In the command chamber of the crippled Scar Dreadnought. Eternal Dominance. High Warlord. Venkar watched his homeworld burn. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had taken the Empire's discarded failures and turned them into the instruments of its greatest defeat. The Scar Empire would rebuild. It would recover. But it would never again underestimate the species that had transformed a broken starship into a galactic threat.